Let's start with the Gayatri mantra. Om Bhur-Bhuvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yonah Prachodayat. Alright, we are starting another Sangha today, live, coming to you. Another beautiful day here in Canada, British Columbia, in fact. Now that we have a moment before our first guests arrive, allow me to set the intention for this space as being a welcoming one where everyone is allowed to be themselves. From all walks of life, I look forward to the diversity, and I hope that we can come together to build bridges, to connect, relate in one another's experiences, share positive sentiments, and uplift each other. Is that humble? Well, thank you for sending a heart me, blessing our live stream very early on today. I am humbled by it. Radhe, Radhe. Hello, Babble Fishy. Welcome. Hello, Josand. I am a fellow student, like yourself. Mambo, I am well, thank you. And thank you for wishing that. And everyone here, I hope to reflect that sentiment as I echo it too, that all those who are joining now, may you be happy and free of suffering. Sarve bhavantu sukhinaha. May all beings be free of suffering and happy. Hello, AV Theta. I don't know how I would pronounce that. Avth. Thank you for wishing me a good day. It's the afternoon for me, 3 p.m., but in Greece it is nighttime. I love how many time zones we have. People from all sorts of places and times. But we're all here. And now. Hello, Jay. Glad you like my bandana. Earth to Grace. A beautiful name. Hello, Gutwise Lifestyle. Hello, Dear Pie. I'm happy you love my content. Thank you, Hand Fingers. All the best to you too. So much good vibes coming from all of you today. Thank you for that. Nice to see you, Gutwise. Hello, I like potatoes. And I vibe with your username. I like potatoes too. And thank you, Hersi, for your heart meet. Team bracelet, a best team, and a quartet of finger hearts. Please accept. A finger heart back to you, my dear. And a tiny diny you sent. Yippee! And another tiny diny from Laura. Thank you. Yahoo! And thank you, dear Ushabai, for your wonderful hand hearts. I send you some all the way from Canada. Hello, Rosie. Hello, Lone Wolf. I'm happy you find happiness here. It's all within you. I think this is too filled to do a bottle flip. Unfortunately, if I drink more of it, I'll attempt it. Just for you. But you have to remind me to hydrate. Now, I have a question of the day for you all. Today I'm wondering, if you can think of a loved one, what vision do you have for them? And you don't have to mention who they are and what their relationship is to you. But what's something you see in them? Something that you see for them? What's a future that you see is possible for them? That's what I'd love to know today. Thank you, dear Kylie, for your heart me. Hariom Tat Sat. Hello, Sky. Did I miss you while I was trusting that the universe was taking you to wherever you need to go at that moment, but I'm happy to have you back. Roaring 20s. It's a funny name. A vision you have for a loved one is that he will be calm, patient, and relaxed. I love that. Kickflip, you share their sacrifices. That's beautiful. Yes, good evening, Kylie. It is a little late in the UK, but my day has been well so far. I hope your day is well too. And thank you, Chandra. Your name means the moon in Sanskrit. Thank you for sending your love and positivity. I like that. And welcome, Ragnhildur. I remind you of a person that plays in a show that you just watched, Sid. Well, I hope it was a good character. Hannah, your vision is that you will be challenged, stimulated, rewarded, and fulfilled at work. I love that. That's very genuine. Mm-hmm. Good evening, Ratty. Radhe or Radhe. Sky, you share for a loved one, for all of them to experience the golden sunsets until they are old and well. I love that. Usha, you share being healthy and happy. Rosie, you want to see your friend out of a very toxic relationship and be free? Well, you are a good friend, and I am sure that is enough. Yosan, you share you are going to be an old grandpa holding their hand drinking coffee. Aww. I love that. WV, you share your siblings, you envision them that they trust themselves and walk away from things that do not serve them. That's powerful. Hello, Tracy. Thank you for much love and light. All the same back to you. Sarin, if I'm pronouncing your name right, you share that when you think of a loved one, you envision them fulfilled and happy in life. That's beautiful. Ragnhildur, you can see this person with his preparation and kindness as a good and just judge. Lovely. I think this is a great meditation. I look for the potential that we see in those around us. It is our duty, in some sense, as friends, as family, as lovers. Thank you, dear John, for your trio of tiny dinies too. Yum, 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 yum. Babby, I love this question. You ask, what if the person I want to be able to love and be happy is myself? Oh. Then that's even more special, isn't it? What a beautiful example you have set. And it's true. In my question, I never specified that they had to be a person different from anyone like yourself. That's wonderful. Isabella, you share to love them unconditionally. Lone Wolf, you share, I hope he finds peace in his heart one day. And thank you for finding something good in these lives, WV. Katsuko, you love the cats on my head. I love them too. Aren't they fun? There's a lot of them. AV, you share, you want to see your loved ones love themselves as much as you love them, and even more. Ah, how lovely. Yosan, you can hold your own hand and drink coffee. Well, that'd be difficult. If you wanted to drink coffee at the same time, I guess you could have your your cup like this, and then Babble Fishy, you hope she can love herself as she is. That's a great vision. Hoodie's boy, you wish everyone to be loved and understood, live a full life and be aware of it. Vanessa, I'm glad you liked the question of the day. Please take as much time as you need to think about this. Much love to you, me. All right. You are all such kindred spirits wishing well for your loved ones. You might notice that all I asked was a vision, and yet you all interpreted that to mean something good for them, a future. Of course, if they are a loved one, then naturally you may be thinking good of them anyway. But I'd like to point that out because you all are so lovely that you just assumed a positive vision for your loved ones, and that makes my heart happy. I hope that positivity takes you far in life. That is my vision for all of you. Now, Samuel, you had asked, or rhetorically I gather, how do you accept love if you don't feel like you're enough for someone, friend? This is a genuine question. How do you accept love if you don't feel like you're enough for someone, friend? Exactly. Yeah. This world both has the potential for goodness and at the same time a lack of that goodness until we manifest that potential. That goodness that is possible, some may call as heaven. And until we get there, we might make ourselves a little bit of a hell for ourselves. But both heaven and hell are possible here on earth, as long as we have love and devotion for our fellow earthlings. Then we can turn this into a heaven for ourselves. All right. Thank you, Z Psychic, for your rose that you sent as well. Hariom Tat Sat. I would like to read to you now another section from The Hidden Power in Humans that was sent by dear Usha Bai. Last time we finished up reading about the Muladhara Chakra, also known as the root center. Today we're diving deep into the next chakra in the human system. This will be exciting. From a realized master, a great yogi, Paramahant Swami Maheshwarananda. Let's learn more about this energy center in the body. So today we are diving deep to discuss the nature of the Svadhisthana chakra. This is the sacral center. And look at all the symbolism here. We've got the Devanagari symbol for the Bija mantra for the sacral chakra. That's Vam. And it looks like we have two deities. And 6 petals, and on the petals we have some more mantras. Vam, Bham, Mam, Yam, Sham, Lam. And an alligator at the bottom. Here. We'll quickly go through the qualities and symbols of the Svadhisthana chakra, and then we'll dive deeper into them. So, where is the Svadhisthana chakra in the body? It's about 3 centimeters above the lower part of the spinal column, where the coccyx and the sacrum meet. Its color is orange, representing activity, energy, joy, and hope. Its tattva, its element, is jalam, water, which is soft and yielding. Its mantra is vam, and its sub-mantras, as we discussed, are bum. Oh, I got that one wrong. I said vam, but it's bum, then bum, aspirated, mum, yum, rum. I got that one wrong as well. I said sham, but it's rum and lam. This is a very interesting font for Devanagari. Forgive my ignorance. These 6 sub-mantras correspond to a lotus petal, or a lotus of 6 petals, which are symbols for the 6 obstacles on the path of development, which are anger, hatred, greed, jealousy, cruelty, and laziness. Its animal represents a crocodile, which represents lethargy, and its divinities are Brahma, the creator, and Saraswati, which represents knowledge, intellect, and viveka, discrimination. Its symbol is the half moon, representing feelings, tides, and the feminine cycle. Its qualities and aspects include the first level of human development, the subconscious, Hiranyagarbha, which means the golden womb, Prarabdha karma, the influence of earlier actions on one's destiny. Positive aspects include Icha Shakti, willpower, and Kriya Shakti, vigor and drive. And its negative aspects include egoism, passion, pride, envy, doubt, laziness, etc. Its prana, its vital air, is apana, corresponding to elimination. Its level or plane is Bhuvarloka, the astral level. Its planet is Mercury. Its principle is Chitta, consciousness, also known in Sanskrit as Narayana, also memory. Its feature is Rasa, fluidity. Its precious stone is beryl. I've never heard of that precious stone before. Its metal is tin. Its mineral is sodium. Its characteristic is Krodha, anger. Its sensitivity is Klanti, tiredness or fatigue. Its sense organ is the Jiva, the tongue, or the principle known as Varuna, or the sense of taste. Its taste is salty. Its quality is Jalana, to move. Part of the body it represents is the Mamsa, the flesh. And its organ is the Upashta, which are, of course, the genitive organs, and the principle representing Prajapati, creation, reproduction. Its secretion is Virya, hormones. Its gland is the suprarenal gland, and its plexus is the hypogastric, a network of nerves in the lower abdomen. And finally, the other name for it is the lower abdominal center, or the sacral chakra. All right. That was a dump of information. Let's just read the first few paragraphs as we go into the textual component of this. In the Svadhisthana chakra, the etymology comes from Sva, which refers to the self, and Adhisthana, which refers to the seat or residence. The Svadhisthana chakra lies about 3 centimeters above the Muladhara, the root chakra, between the coccyx and the sacrum. It marks the second stage of human evolvement. In earlier periods of evolvement, the seat of the Kundalini Shakti was located in this chakra. But in Kali Yuga, Yuga means a period of time, and in Hindu chronology, world history is divided into 4 yugas. The first is Satya Yuga, the golden age of truth, characterized by divine knowledge, justice, harmony, and peace. The second age is Treta Yuga, the silver age, when knowledge and honesty slowly begin their downward slide. The third is Dwapara Yuga, the bronze age, the age when morality declines and wars begin and power struggles start also. And the last is Kali Yuga, the age of darkness, or the Iron Age, during which spiritual ignorance, godlessness, and violence and suffering reign. But yes, in earlier periods of evolvement, the seat of the Kundalini Shakti, the serpent power, was located in this chakra. But in Kali Yuga, our present age, spiritual energy has sunk down into the Muladhara chakra, into unconsciousness, because of the rampant materialism and egoistic behavior of humans. The color of the Svadhisthana chakra is orange, the color of fire. This color symbolizes purification, activity, joy, hope, and self-confidence, and shows that the energy of the Svadhisthana chakra has become active. Orange is also the color of sunrise and is an indication of the strength that blossoms from this chakra once it has been mastered. Cheerfulness, faith, self-confidence, and vigor. It is also the color of autumn and sunset, when nature withdraws and consciousness turns inward. When we look within and concentrate on the Svadhisthana chakra, we are able to find the answers to many questions related to our destiny. And there is so much more to learn about the Svadhisthana chakra that we'll be learning about as we go through this book over the next few days. So we'll pause our knowledge sharing there for now. Thank you for listening. Om Namah Shivaya. And we can open up the Sangha to discuss, whatever is on your hearts and minds. So thank you for listening. And thank you for those who sent a gift while we were reading, like Katie. Thank you for your heart me. Radhe Radhe. Namaste, Starflinger. Thank you, Isabella, for your trio of cloud bread. Om Dum Durgaye Namaha. And Kylie, thank you for your trio of TikToks and your little crown. Radhe Radhe. Hello, Liam Walker. Hare Hare. Thank you, Katie, for your whipped coffee, and Isabella for your best team. Thank you, Skulas, for your rose, and High Vibration Franco for your heart me as well. Om Namah Shakti Shivaya. Welcome. Ina Elizabeth, you are saying the word scam. I think that might be in reference, although I'm not sure, to the scammers that have been impersonating me. So it's a good reminder, in case someone messaged you on this platform or another pretending to be me, offering some kind of spiritual service for money. That's not something that I do, so please practice due diligence, as nothing I offer ever costs any money. Everything I give is for free. Welcome, Assad, and hello, dear. White heart emoji. Jelice. I'm sure that's not how to pronounce your name. Jelice. Have I ever been to India? Well, my heart has certainly traveled the lands of the Himalayas and the spirituality that has descended therefrom long ago, but my body has yet to catch up. I'll put it like that. Thank you for finding prettiness here. Follow for follow. Beauty is but in the eye of the beholder. And thus I genuinely wish to implore you that all goodness you find in me is but a reflection of what's within you too. Now welcome everyone. We have lots of new faces here. Connor Green, you had asked, what's the difference between the spirit and the soul? It's a great question. Simple answer, depends on who's talking. Naturally, we often come up with reasons why we have two words to refer to something very similar. And as such, people do refer to spirit and soul in subtly different contexts. But generally speaking, in my live streams, I refer to them almost interchangeably, as they both invoke some essence of being that is immaterial, beyond the body, beyond the mind. a nice word in Sanskrit that sometimes gets translated to many words, such as soul or spirit or even self, is Atma. All of these words or translations refer to your very own consciousness, the witness, the awareness which permeates the body, but is not slain when the body dies. Reverend Fan, you're wondering, what should be the first thing you do to find peace? To play on the words that you use to ask this question, I would say that finding peace is not about doing, but about being. That if we are in search of some action that will attain peace, then that implies we're thinking about it in terms of some object, some goal that exists after something is first accomplished. But if we switch our perspective from peace being the object of our experience to the subject of our experience, then we start in peace. Peace is from where all of our actions come from. Everything we do comes from a sense of acceptance, from bliss. It may be hard to wrap our mind around it when we're so trained in our culture to look for happiness on the other side of our actions. But if we start with happiness, we start with peace, then all of our actions become an expression of that, rather than an attempt to extract it from the world. This all leads to a kind of sentiment that it's something generated from within, rather than something extracted from without. Practically, what this means is that we look not for a kind of peacefulness in anything that we can get in the world, but instead realize the potential that exists within you, and then give to the world as a reflection of the fact that you have everything you need and more. Namaste, Lando. You had a fulfilling meditation on the nature of Radha Krishna today. Oh, these lovely deities. Oh, how wonderful is that? Thank you for sharing that. Thank you, Skolas, for the rose. Did I thank you for that? I think I did, but yeah. And thank you for it anyway. Twice over. Isabella, you are wondering, do I ever just sit around and talk about ghost stories? I assume if I had ghost stories, I probably would. I think it's wonderful when we share experiences that lead to a kind of mystification. There is so much more to this universe than we can experience through our limited senses. And I love that about the universe, because anything is possible. Well, maybe you find health and vibrancy in me, Katie. Thank you. Much love to you. Kuzo, you're wondering, what is Radha Krishna about? Well, they are relatively ancient personalities, you could say, that have stood the test of time. They simply represent the two cosmic principles at work in the universe. Krishna represents Purusha, which is the principle of consciousness, and Radha represents Prakriti, the principle of nature, like yin and yang. And through understanding their relationship and how they are a reflection of what's in us also, we can become more in contact with the role we have to play in this world. But it's just one form of the divine. many faiths, many traditions around the world have come up with their own unique representations for this balance, like Mother Mary and the Holy Father in Christianity, yin and yang in Zen or in Taoism. There's just so many different reflections of this duality that exists within all the world's traditions. Whatever one speaks to your heart, I would encourage that one to be something you connect with. And thank you, Bloxy, for your heart me. Hari Om Tat Sat. User 483. You bring the concept of the fact that we are all one. Yes. But not in the sense that this is all an illusion, and that there is only one being and we've made up all other beings, but in the sense that in an ocean, there is one water source, but many different waves. And these waves are definitely distinct from another on the surface, but deeper down they are part of a greater whole. It's in that sense the ancient sages have come to the conclusion that we are all one, that we share an Atma, we share a soul, a self. But on the surface we have different bodies, we have different minds, we have different personalities, and that's all beautiful. Thank you, dear Kylie, for your octet of roses too, and your pair of tiny tinies. Yippee! Josan, you share that you've been finding Catholicism and the Bhagavad Gita are surprisingly almost exactly the same. I love that. If you are brave and you have a lot of forgiveness in your heart, you can find the unity behind all religions. And then all the world's religions become like DLC to your own. I hope there's enough gamers in here to get this reference. That you have the base game, but then the developer provides DLC, additional content that add to the game. Well, if you realize the unity behind all religions, then all religions become like DLC. Downloadable content that only just increase your understanding of life and the game we all play. Oh, Lando, you're so clever. DLC stands for Divine Living Content. You're quick with that. Hola, Fenrir. You are from Argentina, I gather. I am from Canada. Hello, Eveline. Fulgentas, hello. You're wondering if I can repost the other math-related videos. They were really cool. If you tell me which one you'd like to see, I will certainly consider it. Pardon me, I got the hiccups a little bit. Hello, dear Amanda. Whenever I see your name, Amanda, I'm reminded of the Sanskrit word Ananda. Just one letter difference, and it's also a nasal. Ma, na, Ananda. And that refers to bliss. And what's really interesting is that Ananda is one of the words for the self. That there's 3 words for the self that are the conclusions of all the Vedas, the first revelations. That the self is Sat, Chit, Ananda. The self is truth, Sat. The self is consciousness, Chit. And the self is bliss itself, Ananda. Sadness, you can't stick around today, but thank you for sending everyone love and bliss. I appreciate your presence here. Good evening, Sarah, from the UK. I'm happy you find relaxation, Kuzo. And good vibes from me, Mouse. That helps, doesn't it? I'm happy you like my shirt, Anna. I'm feeling adventurous today. I'm wearing different patterns all at once. I've got my blue plaid pajamas and my succulent flowers shirt, my Yamdana, and my Yamsox. I'm probably breaking so many different fashion rules right now, but as Miranda says, it is colorful and comfortable. Welcome, Vienna. WV, you are having difficulty letting go of the past and the relationships you had. Do I have any words? The heart wants what the heart wants. And as we love someone, I think we make reservations in our heart for them. And the contract that the heart signs is, what's the word in the legal world? Unvoidable, I guess. You cannot void contracts that the heart signs. However, there are 2 clauses in the contract that can help you. You just gotta read the fine text. One of the clauses that will help you remedy the reservation you had in your heart is to recognize that what you've reserved in your heart is the love for an aspect of their being. That means if you're able to find that aspect of their being which you reserved love for in another place, like in yourself, then your heart still gets to express all the love that was designated for that place. Secondly, we can always expand our heart to have more room to give love to more places. Sure, we might sell a plot of land in our heart to one buyer, but we've got infinite more room to expand. The acreage of your heart is unending. At this moment, it might feel like you've given your whole heart to someone, but you can always make that heart bigger to have more love to give. Thank you, dear Saturnus, for your heart meat, your 3017 bracelets, and a pair of cheer-you-ups. Radhe Radhe. Perhaps my live stream is having technical difficulties. I know that sometimes there are lapses in my Wi-Fi, but I hope that it is manageable. Dear Amanda, thank you for your pair of manifestings. That's a very fun gift, and I think it's a new one, or at least it's new to me. That's fun. Hare Krishna. Beans on Toast, you share that today is your birthday. Well, I'm only honored to be able to spend a part of your birthday with you. I am really but a nobody, doing a goofy little live on TikTok, and yet you thought to spend a little bit of one of the most important days of the year for you here. That's an honor. So thank you, my friend, and happy birthday. Thank you, Miranda, for your heart me that you sent as well. Hari Om Tat Sat. And Vanessa, thank you for your finger heart. Please accept mine in return. Thank you, dear Anna, for your GG as well. Hare Krishna. Kuzo, you share, don't sell yourself short, Yam, you're more than you think. It's not that I see myself as less than. It's that I see you all as more than. Because each and every one of you knows something that I don't. Therefore, I see you all as teachers in some aspect of life that you certainly have more experience in than me. That way I sit before you looking up to you because there's something I can learn from all of you. Compared to all of the knowledge you all have together, it is not self-deprecating to say I am nothing, I am nobody. It is just a matter of fact. Thank you, dear Babelfishy, for the W you sent as well. Ariom Tatsa. Mortimer, you are sharing greetings from the Arctic Circle. That's so fun. I am wondering, given that we are approaching the end of summer, is your month of daytime coming to an end? Or maybe it's 2 months if you're way up north, or less. I'm wondering. Has the sun set for you in a while? I would love to know. And it's lovely to see people also wish Beans on Toast a happy birthday. They certainly deserve one. Kylie, you're wondering what month my birthday is. Can you guess? What month do I seem like? Mortimer, it's getting pretty dark there now compared to earlier in the summer. That makes sense. I imagine since the sun sets at such an acute angle, there really isn't a point where suddenly it's nighttime. It's just a smooth gradient. Many guests coming in for my birthday. Eveline is right. It is October. Aw. Lunar consciousness, you share spiritually the sunset not too long ago, pulling yourself back into the light however you can. Well, just as your name suggests, Lunar, you are a reflection of that light. Even when the sun has set for us, it has not on the moon. And in that dark abyss we call the sky, we may see the very same light of the sun reflected from our celestial body we call the moon. Follow the light reflected by the moon and you will reach the sun also. Sounds poetic. But the sun and moon have always been metaphors. Really big metaphors. For the mind, the moon, and the sun, chitta, consciousness. We experience consciousness in our mind as a reflection of the self that we are. If you follow the light that is reflected by the mind, you will reach the light of consciousness too. Thank you, Hey Ghost, for the heart me you sent a moment ago too. Radhe Radhe. And user 642, thank you for your subscription. I wish I had a more personal name to call you. But a bunch of numbers works, as I do love mathematics, so I hope to continue our journey together. Much appreciated. Thank you, dear Gina, for your heart me rose and another rose. Om Namah Shakti Shivaya. I was just thinking about that joke today, Music Monkey. If my grandmother had wheels, she would have been a bike. Classic. It was an instant classic. Katie Pond, you're asking, are the divine masculine and feminine represented by the sun and moon? Absolutely. Yes. The sun is that stationary source, of course stationary relative to our solar system, as it's at its center. And the masculine represents the source of energy, but the moon represents the reflection of that energy as it pulls on the waters of the earth, the womb of life, as she changes in her various phases. She, the moon, represents the feminine. Surya and Chandra represent Shiva and Shakti, Purusha and Prakriti. But like yin and yang, there's a little bit of both in each other. And thank you, Lost YYC, for the heart me and 198 roses that you sent as well. Certainly enough for everyone here to go home with a rose. And that's wonderful. Thank you. Radhe o Radhe. Thank you for sharing so much love, user 718. I have to read this comment out loud because it's just so full of positivity. Happy birthday, love and light. We are consciousness experiencing physicality, and you have many cat stripey. Cat strippy? Thank you for wishing me a good evening, Chihiro. All the same to you. Lost YYC, you share. It's weird. You've never seen me on TikTok, but I was in your dreams last night guiding you. Oh, I see you got the message. Well, I'm happy to be a source of light for you. And all the light that I have to guide you with comes from the very own source that is within you. So, none of my doing, really. You can really only thank the deepest part of yourself. Hello, Jacqueline. Welcome. Happy to have you here. Who was it who asked if they can fall asleep? Messy Angel. You're welcome to fall asleep. Do as you like. I will do my best to not jump up and down and scream and wake you up. David, you had asked, how do we approach serious illness within our spirituality? Oh, by taking lots of time to yourself with love, patience. On a spiritual level, so much of illness is amplified by the stress we put ourselves under. And the more we are thinking in terms of achieving something in the future with this body, in the world, then we stress ourselves out because our nature as spirit is not under such stress. There's no deadlines the soul has to meet. You are here to have a messy time. You're allowed to make mistakes. And as a soul, you're having a human experience. And that's wonderful. The more we take care of ourselves by realizing that we are a soul first and foremost, we rid our body of so much unnecessary pressure to be ourself, because our body can never be a full expression of the light within you. Also, if you have people in your life that can take care of you, friends, family, doctors, acquaintances, it can be a great opportunity for them to show you what you're worth and what you mean to them. I know some people have a hard time accepting help, but truly it can be really liberating to allow others to take care of you in this moment. And that gives them purpose. It lets them shine brightly from the source of love that they also represent. And of course, we can remember that the preciousness we have on life is due to the mortality of our body. And it is a donation that at some point we have to return to Mother Earth with. So taking good care of it as much as we can, appreciating the memories associated with it, and give it back to her with grace one day. What a funny and beautiful quote, Lando. It's crazy we spend our whole lives passing through a moment we call the present, but rarely are we in it. And yet, we are always in it. We can never be anywhere else but here and now. Still, We are always thinking of a time that has been or will be. Rarely are we interacting with what is truly here and now, beyond our memory or imagination. Thank you, dear Kelly, for the beautiful rose you sent just a minute ago. Hare Krishna. Thank you for sharing my energy. Jake, much love to you. Saradwin, I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right, but you are asking if I'm familiar with Celtic beliefs and mythology at all. I should be, given that my grandmother is a Celt. She speaks Irish, Gaelic Irish. I think I'm a second generation Canadian, but much of my grandparents and great-grandparents were from Ireland, so I should probably do my due diligence of being in duty to my ancestors by learning more, but perhaps you could teach me, because your name certainly looks a little Celtic yourself. Athena, you had asked what my thoughts are on the difference between solitude and loneliness. In loneliness, we feel like we're missing something, but in solitude, we know that we have everything. Kiki, you share that I'm like a much nicer and calmer Eckhart Tolle. That's impressive, because he's a very nice and calm guy. As far as I know. Maybe there's some video of him losing his temper. Or raising his temper, I should say. But thank you. I'm certainly no perfect being myself, but I try to be as nice and calm as I can here. You are Welsh. Well, that means I've certainly butchered your name, but I would love to learn that as well. Thank you for being here. Veronica, oh, I love your questions. How can we be more confident and less of a critic of ourselves when the critic makes us improve our actions? Wouldn't we stop improving ourselves if we stop negative thoughts? What a beautiful question. And it's true. Negative reinforcement is one of the ways in which discipline can occur. But today's psychologists say that if you take a percentage of the population that actually responds well to negative reinforcement without traumatic consequences later, rounded to the nearest percent, that is 0. It's not perfectly 0, 0.1% of the population, however many there are. Some people genuinely respond well, but for 99.9% of all the people in the world, negative reinforcement has consequences that are unnecessary. Indeed, ultimately, the critic within ourselves is looking for our potential as we try to manifest it. But the problem with that is it lacks self-acceptance. Why self-acceptance is important on the path of improvement is because it accommodates where we are now. If you deny the fact that you're existing as you are in this moment, then how can a possible path forward take into consideration your current state, your nature? So rejecting yourself in this moment implies that you're not accommodating the path forward, or you're not keeping in mind a path that will accommodate you. In this way, it's from a place of acceptance do we grow the most quickly, but we have to be careful not to associate acceptance with complacency or with validation of our negative habits. When we say to accept our negative habits, what we don't mean to say is that we are complacent and we're not going to make an effort. What we mean is that we are going to make an effort, and I will forgive myself for the difficulties that might arise in the process. I allow myself to be human and make mistakes, and therefore I can keep coming back without ever being demotivated. I hope that answers your question. Thank you, Jaykos, for the pair of roses you sent too. Hari Om Tat Sat. Jake, thank you for your pair of roses as well. Radhe, Radhe. You're like my funny words, magic man. Well, thank you, Alexis. And thank you, Jake, for another rose. Where are my Manjira gone? Here they are. And thank you, Julia, for your trio of roses. Subliminal messaging. Oh, you're very welcome, dear Kelly. BLND, you ask a fun question. If we found a genie, what do I think is the perfect wish? You think it's to wish for no desires. I love that. But at the same time, what about the desire to generate wealth for our family? What about the desire to bring lots of love and harmony to the world? These are desires. They're different from other desires, certainly, as they are more inclusive in our sense of self. Selfless, you could say. Perhaps if we asked for more selfless desires and less selfish desires. But I think one of the best things you could wish for is to wish to know what the best thing to wish for is. Like the greatest question there is to ask yourself, what is the most important thing to ask? Because that will lead you to the ultimate. Isn't it so? That implies that you get two wishes or two questions, though. Perhaps one of you logicians at heart will find a way to incorporate that into a single question. I love the clever ways people bend these riddles, these puzzles, or thought experiments. And thank you, dear Meg, for your pair of roses too. Hare Krishna. And Julia, thank you for your heart me as well. Scott Bull, you had asked if I'm familiar with Alan Watts' teachings. I've watched a fair amount of his videos. I'm sure that comes across. He's certainly very talented, way more talented than I am in conveying these ideas. He was a very sincere student of Eastern philosophy. Irene, yes, thank you for asking this again. There's a fair amount of people here, more so than usual, so do forgive me if I can't read all your questions, so you're welcome to ask them again. Irene, you had asked, are each of us the quote-unquote center of the world? And if not, what is? In many ways, of course. And in many ways we are not. We can refer to this question in a physical sense, a literal sense, a philosophical sense, a figurative sense. Of course, the center of the world is down there. If by the world we mean our earth. If by the world we mean all of material existence, then as far as we know, there is no center to that, as it goes onwards in all directions, no boundaries. And in an infinite universe, in some sense, all points might bear the title of center equally, but there is no absolute center. In the same way you could say there is no center. In the observable universe, we have a boundary of experience. That's about, how many tens of billions of light years away? And for each person, they are the center of their own observable universe, indeed. In a figurative sense, the world does not revolve around you. That is to say that although we experience life from this body and this mind, there are other bodies and other minds that experience the world just as intensely as we do, and so we have to accommodate that as well. Our slice of life is certainly precious to us, and at the center of our experience is ourself, the one which is witnessing this whole universe. And within that experience, there are many others who have just as real and vivid of a sense of self as we do too. So we can interpret this question in many ways, and I think all of them add to our understanding of this life. Thank you, dear Loki, for your trio of roses. Om Namah Shakti Shavaya. Thank you, Jake, for your pair of roses again as well. Radhe Radhe. How's Brat Girl Summer going? I haven't heard that one before. That's fun. Oh, I am a brat in some ways. I do like being a little mischievous. I don't think that quality can be separated from my being. This is real plants behind me, Steve, but it is just my backyard. I don't know if you want to call that a forest. It's my little slice of the forest that once was. Thank you, dear Irene, for your rose as well. I hope that answered your question. But there are many other ways in which we could explore that question. And that's what I love about every aspect of this existence, is that it can be seen from so many different angles. Thank you for that rose. Om Kring Kalikaye Namaha. The shady light. Thank you for the garland headpiece. I do love nature. Hari Om Tat Sat. It's like our own little Upanishad grove. Oh, that is sweet. Jess, you were wondering, do I think we can get back to relationships that have had a trust broken in a family sense? That's up to you. Ultimately, whether you want to give anyone a chance, that's always within your free will, and I respect and trust your judgment. I do believe everyone has the potential for change, but we can't expect them to either. Even though someone could change their whole life, that doesn't mean they will. It's a kind of trust in yourself that if you do want to open yourself up in this way to them again, then you will be able to set boundaries where they need to be. If you feel like you can't do this at this time, then I don't think anyone's going to blame you for not being able to, and that's okay. Thank you, dear Dreamy, for informing me of an impersonator. Yes, I am sorry. I hope that no one has been scammed so far, but I do my best to contact TikTok about it, but apparently it's not against terms of service, no matter how many times I report them. So I think the least I could do is remind everyone that nothing I offer ever costs a price. And you can use that as a template for deciding, is this person Yamsox or not? It's very simple. Oh my goodness, what's on my head? That was a very relaxed goose. Thank you, Lando. That was fun. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I got goosed. I did. In Sanskrit, the word for goose is Hamsa. And Hamsa is a mantra. Hamsa Soham. It means I am that I am. And it's also a title given to great sages. Like you've heard of Paramahansa Yogananda. Hansa meaning goose or swan. It means someone who's able to sit and float above the waters of the ocean of Maya, material existence, without a drop of water touching them. As their feathers are hydrophobic, all the beads of water just roll off, and they are also able to fly above into the sky. And hello, dear Jocelyn. You're happy to have found me. Well, welcome back. Thank you, Meg, for the pair of roses a minute ago, too. Athena, you were wondering what my thoughts are on doing past life regressions to see who we were in a previous life. That's very interesting. I've never volunteered to undergo that procedure, if you want to call it that. I feel like no matter the lifetimes I've had before, whatever is in my present moment at this time is what I have to be aware of. I think there's a reason that each life kind of starts fresh, and there's almost a sanctity of each life. There's almost a privacy of not knowing, and I'm at peace with that. At the same time, just like therapy, we can regress into our childhood self, and we can bring up all sorts of memories that might be contributing to various things in our present life. We could go into a past life and bring up traumas from there. But the question is, how many lifetimes do you have to go back to figure it all out? And this is where I get my logical reasoning for not doing this, is that there are endless lifetimes, just according to the math. An eternal soul divided by a finite lifetime means an infinite number of them. So we could never go all the way back, because there is no first lifetime. It's like starting at the origin, and we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have endless lifetimes to go. But we can also count backwards. -1, -2, -3, and so on. And there's no smallest negative number. That goes onwards. So if we're wanting to get to the origin of our karma, specifically our sanchita karma, the accumulation from all past lifetimes, we'll never get to the end of that. But that's okay, because we don't have to be happy, to be peaceful. There's a procedure called sharanagati that in my belief system is even more powerful than trying to dissolve your karma. Sharanagati is a shortcut where you don't have to transcend your karma, you just have to allow it to be. Radical acceptance of this present moment. Then it doesn't matter if you have good karma, bad karma, you can be peaceful. It was a beautiful butterfly, I think, or a moth, I'm not sure, that flew by. It was very beautiful. And much like a butterfly, we emerge from the cocoon of our infinite karma, unfurl our wings and fly. Thank you, dear Dagger, for the rose you sent a minute ago, too. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Hello, dear Marcia. Thank you for sending me love. And you are speaking so highly of me, Adam 11. It's very humbling. Athena, you ask, now that I mentioned karma, what's the difference between karma and dharma? Well, they definitely rhyme. I don't know how the etymology works out, but they're both Sanskrit words indeed. Karma refers to our actions, and dharma refers to our righteous duty. The practice of karma yoga is to fulfill our dharma, so they are very much related. To live an honest, moral life through our actions, through our karma, is to go forth in our dharma. Our dharma means our spiritual duty to our friends, to our family, to our community, to our world. It means being a good friend, being a good child, being a good sibling, being a good parent or aunt or niece or nephew. It means being a good baker if you're a baker, or a banker if you're a banker, doctor if you're a doctor. Whatever role you find yourself in this life, doing the best that you can in that is your dharma. That's a more Hindu interpretation of this word. In Buddhism, the word takes a slightly different connotation, but it's still very much the same word. And it's a teaching. It's a living teaching. It's part of the triple gem refuge, where in Buddhism you take refuge in three things: in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. In the teacher, the teaching, and the fellow students. Dharma can be translated in so many different ways, from righteous duty to a kind of faith, to a kind of living spiritual practice or teaching. All of those things are related. Thank you, Georgina, for your 20 roses and a pair of tiny dinies, in fact. Yahoo! And that's very true, Tatvamasi. And thank you for your quintet of roses too, by the way. Jai Nisargadatta Maharaj. In Buddhism, it's often written in Pali or Prakrit, where complex consonant conjuncts are simplified from dharma to dhamma. I think that's cute. Lando, you share, it's from the Sanskrit morpheme dhr, which means to hold and make upright. That makes sense. The etymology is similar. I believe karma comes from the root kur, which means to do, to act, to perform, which creates the nominal form karma and dharma. Thank you. So that implies that if I wanted to say, I am fulfilling my dharma, I would probably say dharami, which would literally mean I hold, I make upright. Dharami. And thank you, Innovision, for your heart me as well. Om Namah Shiva. Om Namah Shivaya. I forgot to address Shiva. I just said salutations Shiva, rather than salutations to Shiva. Thank you, Strung by Stacy, for your tiny. Yippee! Celestial Echoes. Thank you for your finger heart. Please accept one too. I'm a little behind on my gifts. Much love to you. Thank you, Lady Bobs, for your heart me. Strung by Stacy for your TGIF. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Babo Fishy, for your rose, your pair of finger hearts as well. Om Brahm Bharvaya Namo Namaha. Thank you, Sue, for your finger heart that you sent as well. Om Shri Hanumate Namaha. Gina. Thank you for your rose, music play, and an ice cream cone. Om Kring Kalikaye Namaha. And Starlight, wow, thank you for your heart me, pair of team bracelets, a pair of best teams, a pair of cheer you ups, and of course, a pair of tiny dinies. Yippee! Thank you. You're very humbling. I still don't get why I received so many gifts, but I'm only grateful that the space is so inclusive to such a diversity of people, and I love that we can learn and grow from each other in this way. Thank you, Celestial Echoes, for your heart me too. Athena, you're wondering if I had any book recommendations for someone who wants to study Hinduism and Buddhism as a beginner. As a beginner, I would in fact leave books to when you feel comfortable diving deep in that way. If you're just really curious as a start, I would listen to stories. I think the best way to get in touch with any tradition is to listen to stories from their masters. Like bedtime stories, honestly, For Buddhism, that would be the stories of the Buddha, There's a wonderful movie called Thus Have I Heard, Thus, Thus Have I Heard, and it's like a Disney movie for the life of the Buddha, and it's free, available online, even on YouTube in full. For Hinduism, there's so many great figures, there's so many stories from masters and saints all the way up to the present day. The Ananda Worldwide YouTube channel has a very great playlist of stories from an authentic lineage of storytellers, which I think is beautiful. There are lineages of storytellers from ancient times. Yeah, I would have fun with that, Don't take it so seriously yet if you're a beginner. Have fun with it. And this is true for any tradition, Listen to the stories of masters from any faith that you want to become more in touch with. It's the stories that deliver the spiritual meaning, isn't it? The words, the logic might give the intellectual meaning, but it's when we listen with our heart rather than just our eyes and ears. Hello, Christina from Ireland. Welcome. Thank you, dear alien, for your heart me and whipped coffee. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Thank you, Eveline, for your cake and bubble tea as well. Om Dum Durgai Namaha. MJ, you're wondering if there was a prompt for today. There was a question of the day. You can think about it if you want. I always ask it at the beginning and the end of this live, but I can tell you now as well. Today my question for everyone was, when you think of a loved one, what vision do you have for them? Megan, you're wondering if I give massages. Maybe mental massages, I hope to relax your mind. But physically, there appears to be a bit of a distance in that way. To be successful in life, that's a lovely answer to the question, Simi. Welcome back, CDG. I am well, thank you. This is a yam nana on my head. It's got cats and yams. Thank you, Simi, for spreading positive vibes. Much love to you. Athena, you have such wonderful questions today. How could we unblock our heart chakra? Well, we're not quite there in our book yet. We've been going through the chakras one by one. But of course, our heart represents all of our love and our fear. When we engage in brave things to do, that unblocks the fear that might be held in there. When we love so freely and set boundaries to protect it, but expanding and dissolving barriers in other ways with our love, I think that opens this center we call our heart in simple, practical terms. Oh, I love that quote, Joe. Your heart is 5,000 times stronger than your mind. Know that. I think I remember Swami Vivekananda saying something like that. I forget the exact quote, but it was something like, rather having an open heart than a powerful mind. Science is catching up to spirituality. Oh, never say that to a scientist. They might just clock you one. They think they're discovering it for the first time, and we'll give them that pleasure. Thank you, dear Arian, for your heartmeet. Radhe Radhe. And CDG, thank you for your pair of roses. Katie Pond, you like seeing people thinking of things, like sifting through an invisible folder of thought. I just did that, didn't I? Yeah. It's wonderful how thinking takes place on just another layer of this reality, you know? Our eyes might move physically, but we're really going in and out of almost another dimension, you could say. In the literal mathematical sense of another axis, or another axis, I should say. Oh, Yosan, you saw the Swami that is 128 years old and stands on his head. That was so cool. Oh, I'm glad that you found him. Yes, we talked about that the other day. Someone was afraid of their fragility in old age. And I had to bring up this one yogi who is 128 years now of age and still standing on their head every day, doing crazy yoga postures, healthy as ever. And I love that. Sarah, you're wondering, what advice do I have for dealing with fear and anxiety? What a beautiful question. And hello, Lizanna. Well, fear and anxiety, I think, is something we all experience in various degrees and in various flavors. I have been known to have many anxiety attack myself, so I certainly relate with that sensation. Taking care of my physical health is so important. Taking care of my sleep hygiene has made one of the biggest differences physically. But also living a positive, meaningful life. Of course, I'm always going to doubt myself if there are things that I really could be doing that would certainly add to my life. So making a difference to just be a better son, a better brother, a better friend, helping out as much as I can. Anxiety does not come up as frequently or as intensely because deep down I know that I'm doing enough in those ways. Spiritually, we have to recognize that what happens on the level of the mind is not necessarily happening as you. That it occurs to you, but that doesn't mean that you are that which is happening. This chaos is not a reflection of your being. It's a passing experience, just like a moving car, just like a radio that was turned on and it's in between stations, just like someone arguing in earshot. There is conflict, there is an intensity of experiencing happening. But that doesn't mean that anything wrong is happening to you necessarily. That you are still as whole as ever as the background of this experience, still and silent and peaceful. But what's happening in your experience appears to be dramatic. Remember that this too shall pass. You will never experience any sensation forever, which can be both humbling and also relieving. It's humbling when it's a good sensation. We have to be non-attached to those good sensations. But it's relieving when it's a negative sensation like fear or anxiety, because we know that they always come to pass. Little things like this help. Keeping yourself occupied also helps. Taking your mind to something positive and meaningful. For me, one of the silliest but most powerful ways of alleviating my anxiety is singing or chanting. Just feeling like I'm singing out to the universe. It replaces my role of being in need of help to giving, to loving, to being whole and overflowing with abundance. And that sets up a chain of reactions that ultimately influences how I'm feeling in the positive sense too. I like to sing the Maha Mantra. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. And every time I sing that, I feel a little bit better. Also, every time that you successfully recognize that this anxiety has passed, that adds to the Shraddha, a beautiful Sanskrit word that means faith and trust. Because you've had this happen before, you felt like this, and you know that it's gotten better before. You know that this will pass. Having that faith, that Shraddha, is so beautiful, so powerful. Room to breathe, you share the Mula Mantra helps you. Om Satchit Ananda Parabrahma. I love that. Creating awareness, you share for you. Sewing helps you shift your emotions. I like that. Yeah, just engaging yourself in something thoughtful, simple, something not so serious, but still meaningful. Thank you, CDG, for another rose a minute ago, too. And Woo Woo, thank you for your heart me. Radhe, Radhe. Sleepy Panda Baby, you are wondering, do I have any advice for someone struggling with insomnia? I too have also have had hard times falling asleep. Right now I use a sleep supplement that really helps. It's natural. It's a mix of melatonin with some other medicinals. Finding the right combination of herbs and spices can help. An active mind is ultimately the biggest cause for failing to fall asleep. And I said the word failing. That implies you're doing something wrong. Allow me to choose better words. An active mind can be a challenge when falling asleep. How we can put our mind to ease is to, well, first of all, live a highly active and ethical lifestyle. So we go to bed not regretting what we said to someone, you know? I mean, how many times do we say something in the spur of the moment, but at nighttime it's like, oh, I wish I didn't say that. There's a practicality to being kind when it comes to having a good night's sleep, you know? It's like, I did good today. I did my best. I listened to people. I heard them out. I worked on some aspect of myself. That's as much as I can do in a day. An active mind is also influenced by our diet. Eating highly rajasic foods. These are foods that are really spicy. Foods that contain onion or garlic, of course caffeine, caffeinated beverages, these can keep our mind active. So trying to eat more pure, simple, whole foods can reduce the load on our mind. Having a nighttime routine is so important too. You know, maybe that's pouring yourself a nice cup of warm tea. Maybe you do a little prayer or mantra, meditation before bed. Or turn the lights off in your house, you know? Make for yourself something that almost gets you excited to go to bed, and you just love the feeling of relaxing, winding down for the day. All of these little things can make a big difference, and they all form a greater whole. That's funny, Joe. 0 point energy, you just meditate. You're like a computer. Turn it off, reboot, turn it back on. After all, we're all just a bunch of walking USB plugs. Oh, I love you. You're great. And thank you, dear Austin, for your quintet of tiny tinies. Yeah, Yahoo! And thank you, Austin, for your manifesting too. Om Namah Shakti Shivaya. Hello, dear Macy. Much love to you. Nice to see you in here. MJ, you ask, is it just me or is life super confusing? Oh, it's not just you. Yeah. I think if you think about anything for too long, it becomes confusing. You know, it's like the Dunning-Kruger effect, but in the positive sense. That, you know, when we're first born, we're first looking at the world, it's like, wow, this is all a mystery. I don't know how it works. And we grow up a little more, it's like, I have a pretty good understanding of how it works. And then we age a little more, and it's like, no, I'm wrong. I know nothing. I don't know how anything works. And at some point, that can become almost relaxing, I think. You know, it's like you don't have to know. You're allowed to be here without knowing, clearly. We don't have to know the ultimate answers to life, the universe, and everything. Just simple, small answers are sufficient, you know? Do you have the capacity to be kind in this moment? Are you able to learn something new about yourself every day? Yes. You know, sometimes that's enough knowledge to get you through a day. Just simple things like that. Do I have to understand how gravity fits into quantum mechanics and whether or not that bridge will ever be crossed? Do I have to figure out why the universe was born into existence in order to live an active day? No. Sure, you could go forth in search of that knowledge, and you will learn so much about yourself and the universe. But don't overwhelm yourself with all this transcendental knowledge. Sometimes the simplest things in life are the most profound. I love that animation journey. Don't attribute to malice that which can be attributed to incompetence. It's beautiful. Give people the benefit of the doubt that most people, if they're acting in a negative way, it is not because they are consciously trying to be a nuisance in your life. They are consciously doing according to their knowledge, and perhaps if they knew better, they would change their behavior too. Easier on the mental health for ourselves to think this way also. Oh, what a beautiful sentence you have shared, Anna. Life is like an impossible situation that we make the best of. That's beautiful. Oh, that's a beautiful sentiment too, Jay. You think I would be great to have tea with? I love that. Bring back tea parties. We love them. Thank you for your appreciation, Athena. Much love to you, Macy. Butch, you had asked how many universes matter. I don't know, but they're all made of matter, aren't they? What would a universe be without matter? We need both matter and energy. We need fermions and bosons. Fermions make up the stuff. The bosons convey all the information between them, facilitate the interactions. All I know is that regardless of the nature of the multiverse, clearly this is the universe that I'm meant to be in, because I don't believe the universe makes mistakes in that way. So this universe matters most to me. The Beatles nerd, you ask thoughts on the psychedelic Beatle era. Oh, I love that question. You know, my father, one of the biggest Beatles fans in the world, he was in a Beatles tribute band where he played Paul McCartney, and he sings just like him. It's remarkable. And he used to go on tour across Canada. I think at one point he was the largest Canadian tribute band. It's funny. He's famous for pretending to be Paul McCartney. Anyway, the Beatles were such an important part of my childhood because it meant so much to my father, and I meant so much to my father too, and my father means so much to me. I think I grew up on the Yellow Submarine animation movie, which is very psychedelic, if you've ever seen that. It was a time of great cultural expansion and progress of the development of conscious understanding. And a bridge was born between the modern Western world and ancient Eastern practices as the Beatles went to India in Rishikesh on the banks of the Ganga River to meet their spiritual master that guided them in effectively delivering spiritual knowledge to millions of people through their music. And I think that's wonderful. I think it's beautiful. I think psychedelics have clearly made an imprint on the consciousness of humanity. And they lead us to an understanding that there is so much more than what we see with our eyes, hear with our ears, feel with our skin, smell with our nose, and taste with our tongue. And that heightened perception is available to us in many ways, not just through the use of psychoactive substances and transcendental music. Now, Butch, you had asked, is there a spiritual universe that is not matter? That's an interesting question. I think it depends on how we use these terms. I think this universe is very spiritual. And there are different kind of layers to it. There's a physical component, of course, which is what we experience through our five senses. But there's also a mental component, which cannot be said to be made up of atoms. It's not like you can crack open a brain and find a pair of atoms or a set of molecules that represents a thought. It's something more subtler. It's an epiphenomenon made up by patterns of energy, which really exist as a space of variables rather than distinct elements of matter themselves. And beyond that, there is the consciousness, which is certainly not physical, nor is it even a pattern of energy itself. It is the very spaciousness upon which we experience this universe. I think that would be probably the most accurate answer to your question. That Brahman that pervades this reality, the interspace in which all of the experiences of life arise, persist through, and return to. And thank you, dear Susan, for your rose too. Radhe Radhe. Grateful human. You ask, are rocks conscious in my opinion? Well, in my opinion, it doesn't even have to be a matter of faith. It's just a matter of the right definition. If we define consciousness as an epiphenomenon arising from a human mind, then, according to scientific understanding, rocks do not have consciousness. This is a scientific definition, but not a spiritual one. Spiritually, it is matter itself that is an epiphenomenon of consciousness. That's to say, it's not that consciousness arises from matter, it's that matter arises from consciousness. So instead of the material universe, the objective reality being the absolute, we posit that consciousness, the subjective reality, is the absolute, and from the field of consciousness, experiences which include this mind, this body, the rocks around us, the planets, the stars arise. It depends on your reference point. If you put the reference point in matter, then rocks do not have consciousness. If you put the reference point in the source, the subject of the experience, then nothing has consciousness, because consciousness has everything. It is that formless substance, you could say, that pervades the whole experience. It pervades your mind, it pervades your body, it pervades all of your sights and sounds, including all the little birdies, all the trees, the water, the moon, the sun, the stars, the space, the rocks too. It just depends on our definition. And thank you, dear Salty Bubs, for your heart me too. Hari Om Tat Sat. That's cute animation journey. Maybe rocks are conscious but enjoy long naps. They are sleeping. They're just unconscious, which is a form of consciousness, isn't it? I think what makes this question so difficult to many Western analytical minds is that we correlate a mind with consciousness. And that makes sense, because as beings that have a mind, our experience of consciousness takes place in our mind. But it's like a light source and its mirror. Perhaps we can only see ourselves with a mirror, but that doesn't mean that we don't exist without the mirror too. In the same way, there is a source we call consciousness, and a mind is like that mirror upon which we see the reflection of that consciousness. And in a rock, there's no such mirror. There's no such reflection of consciousness identifiable. But that's not to say consciousness isn't there. It's just not reflected in a way that we can experience. Like the sun, this is an ancient metaphor. The sun shines equally during the day on all surfaces on the planet. But the water seems to divide that reflection into many different suns. You look into this one puddle and you see one sun. You look into the ocean and the waves make up a whole bunch of sprinkling dots of sunlight. You look into your glass of water, you see another sun. Does this mean there's a sun within every single water source? In some sense, yes. But more accurately, it is the very same sun, but many different reflections. The sun shines on rocks the same way it does on water, but only in water we find a reflection of that sunlight, just rippled in a unique way. Good night, dear Sue. Adon, you were asking for us to send good energy to you because you are not really okay right now. Well, you're allowed to feel that way. And I hope my good energy through affirmation gets its way to you, that regardless of what you're going through in this moment, you're allowed to feel this way. I don't wish any suffering on anyone, nor any negative circumstances. But if you are going through them, know that your experience of that is totally valid. Regardless of what you're going through in this moment, we have the capacity to decide how we want to be in relation to it. We can let negative circumstances weigh us down, or we can decide that we are above it and that they won't drown us. Even with this understanding, there's nothing you have to do in this moment. Nowhere to be other than where you are. In this moment, you are provided everything necessary for your bliss, your happiness, and it's not going anywhere, even if you can't figure out how to put it together. All the components to a happy life exist here before you in this moment. We might rearrange the pieces in a way that cannot be conducive quite yet, but we'll get there as we keep trying new things and we discover more ways in which we can express ourselves and be in this world. Thank you, Starlight Wow, for the tiny that you sent just a moment ago. Yahoo! Salty Bobs. Such a funny name you have. Thank you for your 53 team bracelets too. Hari Om Tat Sat. Animation journey. You do animations with flower and mushroom people. It's just a bit of fun, but you reached 100 followers. I love that, and what an important milestone. Oh, I hope other people get to see your wonderful animations. I'm a big fan of flowers and mushrooms. Thank you, Verity, for your truthful heart me. Hari Om Tat Sat. And Hairspray Betty, thank you for your cloud bread. Gam Ganapatay Namaha. Thank you, James, for your heart me too. Jai Sachitanandam. And Hybrid Jen, thank you for your rose. Radhe Radhe. Samael, you're wondering if I live near the forest. Well, there are many forests near me. What I really love about my city is that it almost feels like a city built into the nature. So it's not like even when I'm at my house, I feel like I'm not in nature, because there's lots of trees and such a diversity of life in my backyard, in between the houses, next to the streets, even in between road dividers and roundabouts. There's just a lot of nature around. It's wonderful, but there are many parks in walking distance too. Thank you, dear John F., for your heart me, your friendship necklace, your finger heart, and a tiny as well. Yahoo! And Gina, thank you for another pair of roses. You are so kind, and I don't want you spending money on me, since I know in the Philippines sometimes that can be hard to go by. And you have a wonderful family to take care of. But nonetheless, I'm very honored. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Jeremy, for your rose too. Om Shri Mahalakshmi Namaha. And VYV Fragrance, thank you for your rose. Hari Om Tat Sat. Animation journey, you shared that you grew a tomato plant next to a potato plant. Now they have crossbred potatoes and tomatoes from the same. You know what they say? Tomato, potato. That's so cool. Just a time check for everyone that I'll probably be wrapping up this live stream within the next 20 minutes or so. So, if you have anything pertinent you would like to share, please do share it. Miso, I just saw this question. You asked, is it possible to reach where Yam is if you're not very intelligent? Well, I thank you for seeing intelligence in me, but I wish to affirm you that intelligence is not how I got to the place I am, and there's still many, many more places for me to go. The beautiful thing about peace and bliss is that it's a never-ending discovery. We can always strive to be more peaceful, more blissful, for the sake of those who need it around us, too. What we call as the intellect in the West is very different from what we call the intellect in the East. In the West, we associate the intellect with the logical hard sciences, like being well learned in mathematics or philosophy or physics or engineering. And that's definitely a form of intelligence, but not a necessary form for the sake of being peaceful, for the sake of being blissful. In Sanskrit, the word for intelligence is buddhi, the intellect, and it comes from the root bodh, meaning to awaken, to understand. The role of the buddhi is viveka, discrimination. The buddhi is the seat of knowledge. It is from where we make decisions. And, to tell you the truth, the kind of knowledge that's required to make healthy decisions that lead to a peaceful life, they're very simple truths. In fact, the more intellectual you are, probably the more complicated we make these simple truths out to be. So in a way, the less analytical you are, the easier simple truths will be when it comes to resonating with you. These simple truths are the fact that you are not this body, you are not this mind, you are a source of endless joy for those around you. You have so much to do, so much to see, and yet nothing you need to do, nothing you need to see, other than that which you're doing and seeing right now. Fire cannot burn you, water cannot wet you. You are not this abode of flesh and bones which sleeps, decays, and dies. You are immortal consciousness, the Lord of the earth and skies. It's only the intellectuals that hear this and they go, well, what is it? They reject it. In many ways, we have to surrender our intellect to this idea. Without need for logical analysis, rational reasoning, just a kind of allowance for this idea to sink deep within your buddhi, awaken to this. That's the only kind of knowledge you need in your intellect. Thank you, dear Laura, for your quintet of roses. Hari Om Tat Sat. And King Mikey, thank you for your heart me. Hare Krishna. Jonas, you share you've been following me since way back with the incredible Philosophica and mathematical vids. But why did I delete them? Well, to be honest, it's not a deep answer. I just felt like doing something different. I recognize that no matter how much math I share, no matter how much philosophy, it didn't make me happy. Why? Because I can't math my way out of a panic attack. I can't philosophize my way to be a better friend, a better son, a better human. I kind of have to drop all that in some way to move forth through life with grace, which is very reminiscent of what we were just talking about. But if you did want a bit of a story, you can go to the link tree in my bio. And there is a frequently asked questions document where you are welcome to go and read. And if there's any questions that are not answered there, you're welcome to follow up with me. There is such a beauty in math and logic and philosophy, and I look forward to future presenters who are able to play around with the same ideas that I shared and take them even further. I'm so grateful that I got the opportunity to have a platform where I got to share those things with such a wide audience. And if those things still resonate with you in all the same ways, that's beautiful. And I would love for you to continue pursuing your passion in those fields of life. For me, I'm ready to move on from that and surrender my intellect. I will always have a love for math, for physics, for philosophy. They have shaped the way I look at the world in so many ways. But it's time for something in addition to all that. It's time for a grounded approach which takes into consideration that which cannot be expressed through math, through logic, through physics. I don't expect that to make sense, but I'm sure that in time it will. Kiki, you ask, is it true that the more truth we discover, the less happy we become? Where did you hear that? Only ignorance leads to unhappiness. If it was true that ignorance leads to bliss, the whole world would be blissful by now. Wouldn't it? If ignorance is bliss, there'd be a lot of blissful people in the world. Now, the greatest truths are the ones that uplift you. The one that fall in place as missing pieces to your puzzle, where you no longer are uncertain, where you feel like you're missing something. Genuine truth, called paravidya, is that which increases your bliss, your peace, your happiness. True knowledge will never cause you to fear, will never give you a panic attack. Yes, there are hard truths from time to time, but they always lead to more and more happiness. As we plant the seed, it blossoms into a beautiful flower. There are some difficult things that we do have to understand, but that difficulty is not a sign of the truth itself. It's a sign that we have to adapt to it. But once we do, we will become even more immersed in the bliss that is possible from within you. I hope that makes sense. Thank you, Roxy, for the heart me a minute ago. Hari Om Tat Sat. That is why the three names for the self are Sat, truth, Chit, consciousness, and Ananda, bliss. That bliss is at the same level as the Sat, the truth. And they are balanced by Chit, the consciousness. Wherever there is Sat, there is Ananda. Wherever there is truth, there is bliss. Thank you, dear Meg, for your pair of roses as well. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jeremy, thank you for your heart me and rosa as well. Om Dum Durgaye Namaha. Thank you, James, for your donut too. Om Shri Mahalakshmi Namaha. And Feline, thank you for your rose. Om Sum Soryaya Namaha. Susan, you just want to say that you're proud of yourself because a year ago you tried to die and now you feel so much more at peace, loving people and yourself, accepting your femininity and sensitivity that you always thought were weaknesses. Such beautiful things. Thank you. What a beautiful role model you are for so many, that there is peace on the other side of this experience of darkness. Jen's Roti, you ask, is Jesus Christ real? Jesus Christ is one of many divine figures of the world's religions. And regardless of whether you or I were there to experience their physical presence, the meaning that people attribute, how can we deny that? In their experience, they hold in their heart such a personality, such a divine personality, and they find so much peace. That is absolutely real. Anything which gives you peace without taking away from those around you. It doesn't even matter if you would call it real, because the peace that is generated from that is absolutely real. So I have only love and respect for all the religions of the world and the peace that they provide for their practitioners. But we have to stand up for the injustice that some people use in the name of their religion to oppress others. I don't believe that Jesus or any other religious figure would stand for that, because the intention is only to uplift all our brothers and sisters in humanity without any boundaries, without any borders dividing us. At the end of the day, there is only one religion, and that is our shared humanity. There is only one prayer, and that is our breath. And there is only one God, and that is our consciousness. So thank you, my dears, for listening. Before we turn to close our Sangha today, I am wondering, when we think of a loved one, what vision do you have for them? I would love to know. Whoever it may be in your life, someone close, someone distant, when you bring them to mind, what do you see for them? What is possible? What do you hold hope onto for? Is that grammatically correct? What do you hold out for in hope? You know what I mean. Tattvamasi, you share that they explore all their potential to the fullest. I love that. Welcome, Heruka. Hari Om, Hari Rama. Thank you for your cloud bread and your rose as well. Hare Krishna. Gregarji, your answer is nirvana in one word. I love that, to be beyond the cycle of suffering. Just as a quick aside, Kirk, you had asked how you can connect with your sister that passed away. I'm sorry to hear that, dear Kirk. Though her physical presence is now one with Mother Earth, her spiritual presence is now one with your heart. The address to which you deliver that love has merely changed, but not gone entirely. All of the love that she has given you as a sister, it is there as a reflection of herself in your very own heart. It is not some secondary source of her, it is the primary source of her essence. Dive deep between Dive deep between the tendons of the heart and find within the inner space in which all of your loved ones are kept closely. You will find her presence there, as will be everyone else you hold dear. Macy, you would like for your mom to start her own coffee shop like she's always wanted. I love that. Hybrid Jen, you stay at his grave at night and you just sit in silence. You feel close. I love that. That's a great answer. Kisema, you hope for their health and safety as well as achieving their dreams. That's wonderful. You are also new here. Well, hello, welcome. And you wonder my thoughts on after death. Well, we can think as much as we want about what happens after death. But have you thought about what happened before birth? Think about that, and I think there's your answer to the other question, too. That's an old reference, Hal Woods. Math speedruns. Long time ago. Well, I'm happy you loved it, and I can direct you to many wonderful math content creators on the internet, like 3 Blue, 1 Brown, Matt Parker, Numberphile, and Mythologer. Those are all wonderful creators that have much more math knowledge and ability to present it than I do. Colleen, back to the question of the day. Your vision for your mom is to put her art into the world. I love that. And thank you for your kind wishes from so many people. I'm truly honored to be here. Rahina, you envision your loved one fulfilled and happy. I like that. These are all great answers to the question of the day. Chiara, you wish for happiness and bright days ahead of them. So wonderful. I see there's a lot of questions also being asked that relate to very important aspects of people's lives. So I'm going to put a hold on this question of the day for now, but I thank you all for exploring it with me. Namaste. Bobby. Bye-bye. Bob, thank you for your love and peace of mind that you share for our loved ones. To be rich shares are. All right. Talinka, you had asked, can you find any pre-recorded ones of these you want to keep listening? Of course. On my YouTube channel called Yamsox Lives, I've uploaded all of them for the past 6 months, every day. Also linked in the link tree in my bio. Jeremy, your vision for your daughter is for her to find success in sharing her art with the world. I love how many of you are looking forward to the creative projects and people seeing them, since you've seen them firsthand. You know how worthy it is to be seen by others too. It's wonderful. Nadobite, you hope that you're enough as a person and financially for her to be a stay-at-home mother. What a beautiful aspiration. Nick, you had asked what the difference between theological thought of karma in Hinduism and Buddhism. They are very similar. Actually, karma is one of the principles of both Hinduism and Buddhism that are so similar. They have other differences, but when it comes to samsara and nirvana, karma and reincarnation, these three things, I remember the Dalai Lama saying, are almost identical between Buddhism and Hinduism. And the importance of meditation, that's the fourth one. There are probably some subtle aspects of the differences between karma and these two traditions, but they are more similar than they are different, so I'll leave it at that. Thank you, Jeremy, for your team bracelet that you sent. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Haruka, thank you for your tiny. Yippee. Thanks for being here, Jeremy. You take care too. Thank you, James, for the balloons you sent. Harion Tatsat. This, that, and things. Thank you for the heart me as well. And Haruka, thank you for another heart me. Thank you, dear Roxy, for your pair of your finger heart, your TGIF, and a quartet of tiny dinies. Yahoo! And Hybrid Jen, thank you for your finger heart. Talon, you love hearing me talk about Buddhism. It's so peaceful. It's a very peaceful practice. I encourage you to look into it if that's your cup of tea. Jens, you had asked, do I believe in the Big Bang? That nothing created all of this? Love, feelings, anger? Hey, we have to respect nothingness. Nothing doesn't just mean that which isn't. Nothingness has a lot in common with the source. It is from a place of spaciousness that all things could fit within. It is from a blank canvas that a painting can be portrayed. It is from silence that music can be heard. In the same way, I believe that nothingness is just a secret name for the divine. They are not alternatives, they are one and the same. You all have such insightful questions. Heruka, you're wondering if I got my name Yam from Yama. No. I got my name Yam from my mother, who named me Liam with a Y. Dreamweaver, you visualize the sun kissing everyone's cheek and the rain offers you all catharsis. You're very lovely and poetic. Jacqueline, for you, your loved one, your vision is that they live their life lightly. What a great alliteration. Petra, you had also asked, how can one overcome panic and anxiety? I think the biggest difference one can make with their feelings is seeing them as a friend. How we talk about them is such a pivotal instance of transformation. When we talk of them as something like an enemy, someone to combat, someone to fight with, someone to overcome, well, of course, these moments where they arise, we feel like there is something that has to be done. If we can shift our mind from feeling attacked by our feelings to having a misunderstanding between us and them, then we can seek to understand our feelings, just like a misunderstood friend. We allow our feelings to come, to express to us what they need to express, take what we need from that and move on from there. Feelings are not our enemy. In fact, there really aren't any enemies on the spiritual path. It's not about winning over anything, but surrendering. It's about feeling like you are at home within the company of everyone, within anger, within joy, within fear, within misery. All feelings are personalities that we can accept and rejoice with as flavors that add to the dynamics of life. Or you ask, how have you watched this for 2 hours? Well, it must have captured your attention. And I love your perspective, Jens. You share, but somebody or something made that car, that cup, that hoodie. When has anything ever been created by nothing? My friend, these are wonderful arguments that you might give to someone who does not believe in a source. But I would like to affirm to you that whatever you believe in, I also believe in. And it is true that that source has a personality that is expressed through so many different religions throughout the world. It also has a nirguna aspect, which is subtle and deeply philosophical. For example, when God says in the Bible, I am the Alpha and the Omega. I am the beginning and the end. What is there before everything and after everything, if not nothing? When I say nothing, I don't mean to invalidate your belief in a creator. I actually wish to bring you to a subtle realization that nothingness is more than what meets the eye, because it is in that nothingness, the womb of life, that all of this arises. It is that omnipresent, spacious source which is open to this experience, and therefore exists as its perceiver, as its watcher, as its conscious awareness. There is no difference between the source and nothingness. Another name for God in Sanskrit is Nirguna Brahman, which means a nothingness so not that it makes room for everything. So, keep an open mind, my friend. In fact, all of these traditions are one and the same. Buddhism, Christianity, even the scientific doctrine of annihilationism and everything arising from nothing. They are all one of the same truth, just expressed in different perspectives. Before we go, let me brush off the hidden power in humans. I'd like to read from another section with you all. This book was gifted to me by one of you, one of our audience members, dear Usha Bai, who sent it from their guru, Paramahant Swami Maheshwarananda. This lovely guru, known as Vishwa Guruji, has compiled such a genuine yogic text in English for us to learn more about the chakras and kundalini. Let's discuss more about the Svadhisthana chakra, the sacral chakra. As mentioned in the previous chapter, the Muladhara chakra is the storeroom in which our experiences and karmas lie. This is the chakra below or before the Svadhisthana chakra, the root chakra. Now we're talking about the one above, the sacral chakra. The activation of these karmas now occurs in the Svadhisthana chakra. And it is here that we all have the opportunity to purify them. Even though our weaknesses and mistakes are located in this chakra, it is here that a valuable opportunity to develop our human consciousness to a higher level is offered. Through work on the Svadhisthana chakra, we are able to bring our baser instincts under control, transform them, and ultimately transcend them. The level of consciousness of the Svadhisthana chakra is the subconscious, the sphere of consciousness that lies between sleeping and waking. We have a vague idea of what is contained here, but no complete or clear knowledge. Even when our consciousness is centered, other levels of consciousness always influence our perceptions and actions. The field of our consciousness is like a screen upon which the entire spectrum of our experiences is portrayed. The function of the subconscious is like that of a movie camera, recording each impression that has an influence upon us, externally or internally, irrespective of whether we are conscious of it or not. In this way, the subconscious records precisely everything that we experience, think, feel, and do. This explains why inevitably our karmas react upon us, whether we want them to or not. We cannot prevent the consequences because of the subtle tracks, the subtle grooves, impressions known as sanskaras of our actions that have been imprinted upon our subconscious, and therefore the effects are pre-programmed, so to speak. This does not mean that we should just resign ourselves and simply allow things to take their course. It is important to understand that our future destiny is the result of our past and present deeds. Everything that is happening to us today was caused by our earlier actions and thoughts, and everything that happens to us in the future will be the result of our current way of thinking and acting. We are not victims of our past or the puppets of external forces, but rather we are creating our own destiny here and now. To be able to do this consciously, it is important that we confront and evaluate our qualities and intentions honestly, and then direct them consciously towards the good. Once we gain clarity about what is being fed into our subconscious, we are better able to understand our motives and actions and recognize the connection between action and reaction. In this way, we are capable of foreseeing the consequences of our behavior, and by altering our behavior, we can influence our future. We are then able to shape our future and beneficially and support our own development. We are able to then shape our future beneficially and support our own development. Through the self-inquiry meditation, which is a technique from the system called Yoga in Daily Life, and it's a method of self-investigation and self-analysis. Detailed instructions are given in the book Yoga in Daily Life by Mahamandaleshwar Paramahans Swami Maheshwarananda. Through this technique, we are given a method of penetrating our subconscious programming and resolving any detrimental behavioral patterns with love, understanding, and forgiveness. When we consciously send beautiful, positive, and pure thoughts to the storeroom of our subconscious every day, our destiny will also change for the better. But we should not forget that the reverse also applies. In the course of our life, Kundalini occasionally awakens and rises to the Svadhisthana chakra. However, here it comes up against the barrier of our negative qualities such as envy, desire, jealousy, and rage. These block the energy so that it again returns to the Muladhara chakra. And in this way, the consciousness of many people continue to oscillate between the two lowest chakras without ever being able to rise higher. To break this cycle is not an easy undertaking, as we face an army of innumerable detrimental emotions, prejudices, resentments, and fears that have accumulated during the course of many lives. The only thing we achieve, if we fight against them forcefully, is that they will either persist even more stubbornly, or recede into the depths of the subconscious and hide. Only when we consciously let go are we able to free ourselves from them. But letting go can be extremely difficult. We would, in fact, be very happy to be free of our fears and complexities, but somehow we do not dare let go of these qualities. Instead, we hold on to them firmly and nourish them. The ego leads us to believe that we would lose our identity and personality if we renounced them. And it is here, in the Svadhishtana chakra, that the ego fights with all possible means to retain its supremacy. The yoga practitioner, who has learned to question and analyze everything that occurs within the consciousness, recognizes the cause for the emotions and reflexes that surface from the subconscious, and is therefore able to cope with them more easily. Otherwise, it can happen that we fall helplessly from one emotion into another, and for a long time we are unable to find our way out of the quote-unquote blind alley of the Svadhisthana chakra. And we'll pause our reading of The Hidden Power in Humans there for now. So thank you for listening. I'm only grateful to be able to share this wonderful book with all of you. Om Namah Shivaya. With that, we'll begin to wrap up today's live stream. But I will hopefully be back tomorrow. Thank you, dear Greta, for the heart me you sent just a few minutes ago. Hare Krishna. And Sage, thank you for your tiny. And Deanna, thank you for your heart me and your team bracelet. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Thank you, Treat Clothes, for your heart me. And thank you, Marla, for your trio of roses. Hari Om Tat Sat. Thank you, dear Vanessa, for your balloons. And Hairspray Betty, thank you for your flowers. Jai Sitaram. Deanna, you're wondering what the author is. The author goes by many titles, but for this book, it's Paramahans Swami Maheshwarananda. He looks like this. Like Santa, He's gonna look like Santa one day if he loses the color in his beard. But yogis can retain their hair color for a long time. It's quite incredible. Thank you, dear random girl, for your disco love. Thank you, Bex, for your rose too. It's very kind of you, and I don't ever expect any gifts in that way, but I'm deeply humbled. And you share, Jesus better come back, now is a good time. Well, in my understanding, he has already arisen in many people around the world. To me, the second coming of Christ is an internal process. Just as we had an arrival of the Christ in the physical, now we have an arrival of the Christ in the metaphysical. Just as we talk about the Kundalini in this book, there is a spiritual energy that is said to rise along the spinal column. When it reaches the crown chakra, it unites with what some people call Christ consciousness, just like the Christ rising from the cross. So too, in this way, I believe we all can represent an ascension of divinity, where we bring ourselves from our lower animalistic natures of greed and envy and hoarding resources and whatnot to share divinity and help and selfless love for each other. In this way, I believe the Christ lives on through each one of us. I know that there are a lot of Christians that come and go through my live stream, and it's very common because, well, I speak English. And in most English-speaking countries where colonialism has happened, that has spread with it the Christian tradition. And I have so much love for the Christian tradition. And I have a lot of faith that those who continue to practice that tradition, they will experience lots of love and bliss just like any other. Sometimes it breaks my heart when people come in wanting others to convert to Christianity as if they're doing something wrong. And I want to be very clear with all of my followers that whatever your faith is, or the absence of, it is my expression that this space is non-denominational, that you are free to practice whatever it is that makes your heart happy. To me, it's not that one religion is true and that another is less true. There are just as many paths as there are people in this world, and the diversity doesn't speak to a choice like a correct answer and an incorrect answer, but one that accommodates the best path forward to you. How do you know that you're on the path that's meant for you? I think it's very simple. Are you becoming more lovely? Are you becoming more full of love? Do you have more kindness? Do you find yourself getting into uplifting conversations? Do you see the potential in everyone? Are you there for the benefit of others? And that's a good sign that you're climbing higher and higher towards the source, because all of those qualities we find in the source. Just like a mountain has many different faces, there are many different ways to the top, but yet only one top. Therefore, if there is one true truth, then all paths that lead you higher must eventually get you there. In this way, I hold space for all paths that lead us towards more harmony, towards more love, towards more patience and acceptance of each other. That way, we all can approach the truth from the unique angles that we do. So, thank you. Thank you, dear Bex, for the rose you sent a minute ago too. Hari Om Tat Sat. I'm very grateful to have had this space with you all. And you all have been very lovely. So thank you for being here. You don't have to record what I just said, Little Panda Music, because TikTok does that for us. And I take the recordings and I upload them to my YouTube channel. So you're welcome to see all of the live streams that have been happening for the past several months. And along with all of the readings and meditations that I clip out too for you in designated playlists. If that's something that benefits you, obviously no pressure to watch anything you don't want to. But it's there for you in the link tree in my bio too. I think we're all on a unique path in life. If we were all meant to experience the same things, there'd only be one human. But it's clear that as there are so many billions of humans, that there's a unique path for each and every one of us. Though we are so diverse on the surface in the experiences that we have of life, in our feelings, in our thoughts, in our personalities, in our talents, in our aspirations, there is a unity at heart. Because we all express some undivided source, which has come into existence in so many different forms, as you, as me, as our parents, as our children, as the plants and animals, as the earth, as the sun and the moon, as all of the atoms, as all forms of art, all songs, all dances, all interactions, all love. Everything that is, we are part of. Everything is interconnected in this way. It is my wish that we all realize this together, and we continue to do so, so that we embrace our uniqueness, our diversity, in our togetherness, and continue being part of this unified existence. Real core emotion, you're wondering, why did he get blocked? Well, the people that come in here that are not inclusive to everyone else's traditions, I let them speak their mind and I try to allow them to express themselves. And my hope is that they are able to hear each other out and that we find this space to be all-inclusive. But being all-inclusive does not mean that we include people who are exclusive to others. That is to say, we can have tolerance, but not for those who do not tolerate others. We can have patience, but not for those who do not have patience for others too. In this way, I try to leave it as a last resort, but those who try to get others to convert to another faith, that's not something that I hold space for in this live stream. I hope that makes sense. Thank you, Badarmal, for your rose. Hari Om Tat Sat. And Deviant Drake, thank you for your rose too. Om Dum Durgaye Namaha. And Joanna, thank you for your 10 roses, your heart me and your finger heart. There's one for you as well. When I used to live stream, like a few months ago, I would never block anyone. I would let everyone speak their mind. Unfortunately, I found that it led to a lot of people feeling hurt by others here, because I have a lot of lovely followers that I lost because I allowed people who bullied them here. And although I want everyone to be able to speak their mind, if their speaking of their mind inherently excludes another person's expression, then they are best in another place. I would love if everyone could get along here, but I'm afraid that's not my choice to make. And they are much happier in a place that supports them too. I can only support them in the way I can, but they will find much more peace in another place, and I trust them in their journey. Thank you, dear Heruka, for your rose and tiny too. Yippee! Thank you, dear Roxy, for your beautiful flowers. Om Namah Shivaya. And thank you, Diana, for your rosa. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And Corin Tripp, thank you for your 9 roses. And besides, if they really have the one true faith, then they're going to be okay sticking to it. If they're in the only path to salvation, well, their salvation is guaranteed whether they're in here or not. All right. But yes, you are right. Perhaps in the future, it would be better if I could give a warning. Alas, sometimes my own impatience is something that gets in the way of providing such possible connections to blossoming. I will continue to work on that myself, so thank you for that. MJ, you share, you have a moral dilemma. You want everyone to go to heaven, but they get offended when you try to tell them. That's very understandable. Because what is true for you, you want others to experience and embrace also. And if you have experienced that the way to the ultimate potential is through heaven, then it makes sense that you would want to share that with another being. However, we are assuming that we know something that the other does not. And I think some humility could be involved here. If this source that we believe in is omniscient and omnipresent, then just as we have been invited into a tradition that leads us to peace, well, we should believe that they are taken care of in their own way also. I believe that when we speak about heaven as though it's another place, separate from here, then we bring our awareness away from what we have to attend to in this moment. It is just my opinion, but this world could very much be that very heaven which we are trying to attain. But at some part down the line of the game of telephone, we have made a mess for ourselves of this situation. And we've made a mess of heaven as well. Because wouldn't it be true that if we were in heaven and we made a mess out of it, it would also be our responsibility to put it back together again? Wouldn't we? God wouldn't say, "Oh, I'll clean it up for you." God says, "No, I'd be depriving you of your independence." There is a lesson for us to clean up the mess that we've made. And I think in this world also, heaven is a possibility rather than a destination. And through the journey of taking care of Mother Nature and our fellow inhabitants, we can make this a heaven for ourselves. Today, there does appear to be a combination of conflicts that exist between various people. And I think that's okay. It speaks to a diversity of experience. One truth expressed in many different ways. Some people believe in a dichotomy between heaven and hell. Some people believe in the theory of reincarnation. And some people believe that after death there is nothing. Nonetheless, although it appears like at least one of these must be wrong, because surely not all of them can coexist, I believe there is a way in which all of these belief systems come together in harmony. And here is just one example in which we can harmonize all of these views of the afterlife. If there was nothing before birth and nothing after, then that's already a cycle. It is from nothingness that we have come into this existence, and nothingness that we return to. That already leads to a kind of cyclical existence, since we come back to that very place from which we've come. Then there was nothing stopping us from taking birth. What is stopping us from doing that again, and for the cycle to continue? Though we leave our body behind, surely consciousness remains, since it has no beginning, it has no form, it has no attribute. It is the very formless in which we experience this world. So a kind of nothingness inherently leads to an understanding of a cyclical rebirth. Thus, an eternal life comes in play here. Therefore, in a place that we always return to, isn't it up to us whether we make it a heaven or a hell for ourselves? Whether we go forth with our fellow brethren, with kindness and support, or we try to isolate ourselves from the rest and seek an independent existence. When we have an eternal cycle of birth and death, I think life is what we make of it, and heaven just means that we turn it into something with the most potential for everyone. Therefore, I believe there is a way in which we can reconcile all of the different belief systems of the afterlife. And this is just one example in which many philosophies disagree. But I encourage everyone to look for the unity behind all of the different systems. Thank you, dear Babblefishy, for the quartet of roses you sent a few minutes ago. Hari Om Tat Sat. And Virus, thank you for your 10 give me the votes and a heart me. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hybrid Jen, thank you for the quintet of TGIFs. Caitlin Gwen, you shared that I seem like such a narcissist, as I really just sit here and listen to myself talk all day. I don't know if we've met before. If we haven't, well, welcome. I thank you for sharing your voice. And maybe you have experienced narcissistic people in your life, and to that I'm really sorry. And if you see any of those traits in me, well, I'd be happy to work on them, because I definitely don't want you to feel like your voices are unheard, and I'm just speaking from a place that you have to listen to, and that your perspective isn't involved. My goal here is not to give you my experience as if it supersedes your own, and I would love to hear about your experience and what you share in this Sangha. Thank you, dear Diana, for your fire that you sent as well. Hari Om Tat Sat. As it so happens, we are on the internet, and naturally, there is a diversity of opinion here, and I can't expect everyone to get along, but I could try to be a good host and embrace everyone's perspectives equally. Thank you, James, for your balloons as well. Om Namah Shakti Shivaya. Thank you for your heart me. Oh, someone whose name looks like a squiggle. I always forget your username, but it's a beautiful Unicode symbol. Thank you, dear Diana, for your rosa too. Kiki, you share. Your opinions are also strong at times, so just don't block you. Oh, that's okay. I have come to know you, and I understand that you mean good. I don't intend on blocking anyone. It's something I reserve only when I am lacking the patience and I deem it necessary in order to make a more inclusive Sangha as much as I can. And I understand that my decision to do so from time to time might not always resonate with other people, since what they see in them might be different from what I see. It is definitely a learning process for me as well, as I figure out the best way to host such a space. I am trying to do the impossible, which is have an inclusive space on the internet. But nothing possible ever inspired me. Only the impossible gets me motivated. Thank you, Virus, if I'm pronouncing your name right, for your 20 TGIFs as well. And Heruka, thank you for your rose and fire too. Om Shrim Mahalakshmiya Namaha. And Badarma, thank you for your manifesting. Ram Ram. All right. Perhaps this is a good time to leave. Sometimes when the live stream gets a little emotional in some ways, I try to stay longer to reconcile some of the differences, but not all of the times are we able to tie all the loose ends together. Anyway, I look forward to the ways in which I can reflect on this Sangha, and next time I hope to be back with an even more open mind, ready to hear you. Thank you all for being here, and constructive criticism is always allowed, especially in my direct messages on other platforms. If ever there is something you wish to talk to privately with me, I would be very grateful to be able to attend to. So, thank you. Thank you, Badarmal, for your tiny too. Yahoo! And yes, I do try to go live every day, Tatvamasi. May you all have a wonderful rest of your present moment. Thank you, Tatvamasi, for your trio of roses. May this live stream be an offering to all the potential that exists inside you. I will be back tomorrow.